Picture this, it's 3 a.m. The world is silent except for the war inside your head. You're drowning in blue light, scrolling through other people's highlight reels while that voice whispers its poison into your soul. You're not good enough. You're too late. You've already lost. But here's the truth that nobody dares to say out loud, that voice, that feeling crushing your chest right now. It's the greatest lie you'll ever meet. And I'm not here to tell you some fairy tale about positive thinking or manifestation. I'm not selling you a fantasy where everything magically clicks into place. What I'm about to share will sting. It might even make you uncomfortable. But if you're tired of being a prisoner to your own emotions, if you're done letting feelings write the story of your life, then you need to hear this. Your feelings don't matter. Your actions do. Stay with me. Because what comes next isn't about becoming cold or numb. It's about discovering a power you've had all along, the power to move mountains even when your heart is screaming at you to stay still. The greatest con of our generation. When was the last time you said these words? Really think about it. I'll do it when I feel ready. I'll start when I'm motivated. I just need to be in the right headspace first. We've been programmed, conditioned, brainwashed into believing that feelings come first and action follows. That we need to feel inspired before we create. Feel confident before we speak. Feel worthy before we chase what we want. This is the con job of the century. Think about every person you admire. Every warrior who changed history. Every artist who created masterpieces. Every entrepreneur who built empires from nothing. What do they all have in common? It's not that they felt ready. It's not that they woke up motivated every single day. It's that they discovered a secret that most people die without learning. They moved anyway. The paralysis point. Let me take you back to my darkest hour. I was drowning in anxiety so thick I could taste it. Some mornings, getting out of bed felt like climbing Everest. The weight of every failure, every disappointment, every person I'd let down, it crushed me into the mattress. And I waited. Day after day after day, I waited to feel better before I started fixing my life. You know what happened while I waited? Absolutely nothing. Because here's the brutal truth, feelings don't build businesses. Feelings don't repair relationships. Feelings don't write books, transform bodies, or break addictions. Actions do. And here's the secret that saved my life, action doesn't require emotion. You don't need permission from your feelings to move. Your body doesn't care how you feel. Your hands can type whether you're confident or terrified. Your legs can run whether you're motivated or exhausted. Your mouth can speak truth whether your voice shakes or stays steady. The divorce between feeling and doing, that's where all your power lives. That's the battlefield where winners are made. The physics of transformation. Now, before you think this is about toxic positivity or grinding yourself into dust, stop. I'm not talking about pushing through genuine mental health crises. I'm not saying ignore trauma that needs professional help. I'm not advocating for self-destruction. I'm talking about something far more specific, the everyday resistance that stops most people from becoming legendary. The voice that says not today when you know you should. The discomfort that disguises itself as impossibility. The fear that wears the mask of wisdom. There's a principle in physics called inertia. An object at rest stays at rest. An object in motion stays in motion. Your life operates on the exact same law. When you're stuck, scrolling, procrastinating, numbing, avoiding, it takes massive energy to break free. That first action feels impossible. Like pushing a boulder uphill in the rain. Every muscle screaming. Every thought begging you to stop. But here's what happens after that first brutal push, momentum. One small action creates a ripple. That ripple makes the next action slightly easier. Then the next. And the next. Until suddenly you're not pushing the boulder anymore. It's rolling. You're riding the wave instead of drowning beneath it. But it doesn't start with feeling. It never does. It starts with one action. One defiant choice. One middle finger to the voice saying you can't. The study that changes everything. Scientists split people suffering from depression into two groups. One group was told to only take action when they felt motivated, the way most of us live our entire lives. The other group was told to take specific small actions every day, regardless of how they felt. Guess which group improved faster? The action group. By a landslide. And here's the part that breaks the whole system wide open. The action group started feeling better after they started moving. Their emotions followed their actions, not the other way around. This flips everything upside down. You don't wait for courage, you build it by acting despite fear. You don't wait for motivation, you create it through movement. You don't wait to feel like a different person, you become one by doing what that person does. Your future self isn't born from a feeling. Your future self is forged in the fire of 1,000 small decisions that your current feelings desperately try to talk you out of. Who are you really? Here's where this gets deep. When you stop letting feelings dictate your actions, something profound happens. You discover who you actually are. Right now, most of us don't even know ourselves. We only know our feelings version of us. We know the person who procrastinates when anxious. The person who quits when discouraged. The person who hides when afraid. But who are you when you act despite those feelings? That's the real you. That's your character. That's your soul. And let me tell you something about that person, that version of you who moves despite the fear, who shows up despite the doubt, who tries despite the failures. That person is unbreakable. Not because they don't feel pain, but because pain doesn't get to decide what they do. Imagine waking up 1 year from today. You've spent 365 days acting according to your feelings. When you felt like working out, you did. When you didn't, you didn't. When you felt inspired, you created. When you felt lazy, you scrolled. What does your life look like? Be honest. Really look at it. Now imagine a different timeline. Same starting point. But this time you built a simple rule: your feelings get a voice, but not a vote. You acknowledged how you felt, but you acted according to who you wanted to become. 5 days a week, you moved your body even when every cell screamed to stay in bed. You worked on your project even when the blank page mocked you. You had the difficult conversation even when your voice shook. You chose the hard right over the easy wrong. Again. And again. And again. What does that life look like? The difference between these two futures isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't even circumstances. It's simply this: in one future, feelings made your decisions. In the other, you did. The path less traveled. Here's what nobody tells you about the path of action over emotion: it's not actually harder. It's different. Yes, each individual action might feel harder in the moment. But the life it creates? That life is so much easier. Because you become someone you respect. Someone you trust. Someone who keeps promises to themselves. And when you're that person, the voice of self-doubt gets quieter. The weight of regret gets lighter. The fear of your own potential starts to fade. Because you've proven to yourself, in the only way that matters, that you can be counted on. The battle plan: how to actually do this. So how do you start living by actions instead of feelings? It's simpler than you think and harder than you imagine. Step 1. Shrink the action. You don't need to overhaul your entire life tomorrow. You need one small action today. Not get in shape, put on your shoes. Not build a business, write one sentence. Not fix everything, make one call. The feelings scream for big dramatic gestures because big gestures are easy to postpone. Small actions are dangerous to your excuses because they're doable right now. They have no hiding place. Step TWO. Remove the negotiation. Here's the game changer: stop asking yourself if you feel like doing it. That question is a trap. It gives your feelings veto power over your destiny. Instead, ask, is this what I said I would do? If yes, do it. That's it. No debate. No negotiation. No waiting for inspiration to strike like lightning. Your life transforms the moment you stop treating commitments to yourself as suggestions. Step 3. Observe the gap. This is subtle but crucial. Start noticing the space between feeling and action. When you feel anxious but speak anyway, pause. Notice that you just proved they're separate. When you feel unmotivated but start working anyway, recognize that you just demonstrated your power. The more you observe this gap, the more you realize feelings are weather. You are the mountain. Weather passes. Mountains remain. Mountains endure. Mountains win. Step 4. Celebrate differently. Stop celebrating how you feel. Stop saying, I'm so motivated today, or I feel so inspired. Those celebrations worship the wrong God. Instead, celebrate what you did. I showed up despite feeling terrible. I kept my word to myself. I moved when everything in me wanted to stay still. These are the celebrations that build an unbreakable self. These are the victories that matter. The beautiful paradox. Here's the beautiful part, the part that makes all of this worth it. Over time, your feelings actually start to align with your actions. Not because you ignored them, but because you proved them wrong so many times they stop believing their own lies. You feel anxious, but you do it anyway, and nothing terrible happens. You feel incapable, but you do it anyway, and you succeed. You feel unworthy, but you do it anyway, and you realize you always were. Your feelings don't disappear, but they stop running your life. They become passengers, not drivers. Witnesses, not dictators. The monk and the washerwoman. There was a monk who spent his entire life searching for inner peace. He climbed mountains, studied with masters, meditated in caves. He was chasing that feeling, that permanent state of enlightenment where suffering would finally end. One day, exhausted and defeated, he sat by a river. An old woman was there, washing clothes. The same clothes. Every single day. He watched her for hours. She didn't look enlightened. She didn't look peaceful. She just washed. Finally, he asked her, "Don't you get tired doing the same thing every day? Don't you wish for something more?" She looked at him with eyes that had seen 70 winters and said something that shattered his entire worldview. "Some days I wake up and the water is freezing. My hands crack and bleed. Some days the sun is warm and the birds sing. But the clothes don't care how I feel. They need washing either way." She smiled then, and continued, "I spent 40 years waiting to feel like washing them. Then one day, I just started washing. And you know what I discovered? The peace I was looking for wasn't hiding in some perfect feeling. It was hiding in the washing itself. Life doesn't happen in the feeling. Life happens in the doing." Your moment of truth. Right now, as these words echo in your mind, you're standing at a crossroads. Not some dramatic, life-changing crossroads. I'm talking about the crossroads you stand at every single morning when you open your eyes. One path leads to a life ruled by feelings. It's the comfortable path. The familiar one. The one where you wait for readiness, for inspiration, for the perfect moment. It's the path where tomorrow is always more appealing than today. And you already know where that path goes. You've walked it. We all have. It leads to a life of almosts. Almost started. Almost tried. Almost became. The other path? That path is strange. Uncomfortable. It asks you to do something that feels unnatural, to move when you don't feel like moving. To speak when you don't feel confident. To try when you don't feel ready. But here's what I need you to understand, that path doesn't stay uncomfortable forever. Because every time you take action despite the feeling, something shifts. Not immediately. Not dramatically. But shift by shift, choice by choice, action by action, you start to become someone you barely recognize. The conversation with your past self. Think about the person you were 1 year ago. All their fears. All their excuses. All their "I can't because I don't feel ready." Now imagine meeting them today. Imagine they could see you right now, in this moment. What would you want to show them? What would you want to prove is possible? You become that proof through action, not through feeling. You don't inspire your past self by finally feeling confident. You inspire them by acting despite never feeling confident. You don't amaze them by feeling motivated every day. You amaze them by showing up on the days you felt nothing at all. Your past self doesn't need to see you happy. They need to see you moving. Your future self is watching. And your future self, the one a year from now, they're watching you right now. They're watching to see if you'll do it. If you'll finally choose action over feeling. If you'll keep the promise you're about to make to yourself. What will you show them? The feeling will fade. Let me be brutally honest with you. When this ends, you're going to feel something. Maybe inspiration. Maybe determination. Maybe that surge of yes, this time it'll be different. And that feeling? It's going to fade. Probably by tomorrow. Maybe by tonight. Because feelings always fade. That's not a bug. That's their nature. They're wind, and you need to be stone. So I'm not asking you to hold on to this feeling. I'm asking you to do something despite it fading. One action. Before this feeling disappears. Before the voice of doubt comes back. Before your brain starts negotiating and rationalizing and explaining why tomorrow would be better. Right now. Not the big thing. Not the scary thing. Just the next right thing. The message you've been avoiding. The call you've been postponing. The first sentence of the project you've been dreading. The shoes you need to put on. The apology you need to make. The boundary you need to set. Whatever it is, you know what it is. It's the thing that popped into your head the moment I said the thing you've been avoiding. The final battle. And notice something right now. Notice how your feelings are already fighting this. Notice how they're already preparing their defense. Later would be better. I should plan it out first. What if it goes wrong? I'm not ready. Those feelings are going to say those things whether you act or don't act. They're going to be there either way. The only question is who gets to decide what you do, the more you. Because here's what they won't tell you, 5 minutes from now, if you take that action, you'll be different. Not transformed. Not enlightened. Just different. You'll be someone who proved, in the smallest but most significant way, that feelings don't run your life. And tomorrow, when you wake up and the feelings come back, because they will, you'll have something you didn't have before, evidence. Evidence that you can move despite them. Evidence that they're not as powerful as they claim. Evidence that you're not who they say you are. The ultimate challenge. So here's my challenge to you. And it's not the kind of challenge I can verify or check on. This is between you and the person you're becoming. When this ends, take one action within 5 minutes. Not a big action. Not a life-changing action. Just one small action that your feelings have been blocking. And then notice. Really notice. That you did it. That the feeling said no and you said yes. That the gap between feeling and doing is real, and you just crossed it. Because that crossing, that moment of defiance, that's where everything changes. The final truth. Your feelings don't matter. Your actions do. And the most beautiful part? You get to prove that to yourself right now. Not tomorrow. Not when you're ready. Now. The person you're becoming is waiting to see what you choose. The warrior you were meant to be is standing on the other side of this decision. The life you actually want is hidden behind 1,000 small actions your feelings tried to talk you out of. Don't keep them waiting. The war between feeling and becoming starts now. And for the first time in your life, you're armed with the only weapon you'll ever need, the knowledge that you can move anyway. So move.